Today, I bring you some very unfortunate community news. The developers of Cobra tools are ceasing support for Jurassic World Evolution 3 due to conflict in the community. Um, if you don't know what Cobra tools is, this is a program that is used to extract, decode, and view files for Frontiers games. So this tool is used by modders to get access to the game files to make and update mods. This is for Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, Jurassic World Evolution, basically the whole suite of Frontiers park building games that all kind of use the same base code, essentially. Um, so the short version of what this means for us in the Jurassic World Evolution 3 community, well, initially it won't matter, right? Because the tool up to this point has been kept up to date, right? So problems will only show up down the line. The problems will show up primarily with large updates, which make the bigger changes to the file structures, introduce new files, which we may not be able to correctly access without the tool being updated. Um, Furthermore, in the same vein that we can't access new files, changes to existing files may impact how existing mods work. They may not be able to be updated, which may force you to use an old version of the game to be able to still run the mod. And so basically, it's kind of a breakdown in modding support, right? This means there will be less mod development going forward as people will either A, not be able to access the files to even make mods, or B, they won't feel that it's worth investing the time in making a mod that they may not be able to update following official game updates. And of course, the timing couldn't be worse with a large DLC on the way, which is likely to break things. It's the most likely thing to break things. All right, a large content update is going to make the most changes to the files. So this is extremely unfortunate. Now, I make some JWE3 mods. I'm not a prolific modder, and I am not active in the Cobra Tools modding community. I've used the tool. It's the foundational tool that has made all of my personal mods, which are, mostly small mechanical changes to the game, rebalancing research trees, economy, and changing dig site randomization. Those are basically the kind of mods I put out. And this, may not affect me right away since these are simpler mods that are just altering numbers, but I'm sure that eventually this will cause problems. Since I am not active in the Cobra Tools mod Discord, I did not see all the problems that resulted in them making this announcement. I was caught just as off guard by this as anybody else. I had no idea there were prolific problems with the JWE3 community. So I will not be adding my own personal thoughts on this dispute. We will just be covering the official announcements from the Discord, which is what we see here. So let's read through these. I'll interject anywhere where I think there's worthwhile commentary or clarification that I can offer, but there probably won't be much. So we get a message from the developers of Cobra Tools. We wanted to share an update about the support of Jurassic World Evolution 3 in our modding tools. After talking it through, we've decided we won't be continuing support for JWE3 going forward. This wasn't a decision we made lightly, and we know it's not the news people were hoping for. Ceasing JWE3 support affects responding to GitHub tickets or Discord support requests, research and decoding of internal file formats, the creation of new tools, template scripts, and the maintenance of resource files and documentation. It's really this decoding of internal file formats here that is the thing that's most likely to cause problems down the line. Ceasing support does not entail the removal of existing tools functionality. So we can still continue to use the mod tools as long as they continue to function. Our Cobra Tools terms of service are in place as a precaution to protect the modding of all supported Frontier games. Frontier, or in this case Universal, can simply decide to encrypt their archives if they are unhappy with the modding scene, and that will be the proper end of modding. Frontier have done that before and could do it again. We believe that our TOS, as well as wider modding community's willingness to adhere to those TOS, is what has prevented another such strike. Sadly, parts of the JWE3 modding community have been unwilling to adhere to our TOS, and when we have tried to resolve those issues, we were ridiculed, antagonized, and brigaded. So, basically what's happening is because the community that develops Cobra Tools, the handful of people that work on this, that keep this tool going for everybody, they are not fundamentally Jurassic World Evolution players, right? These are people who are invested more so in like Planet Zoo and stuff like that. Not speaking for any individual people there, I'm saying the larger group has more of an investment in the Planet Zoo side of things. So When they are given the choice to support Jurassic World Evolution 3 at the risk to the greater ecosystem of Frontier games, they have made the decision to cut it out completely to protect their access to Planet Zoo files, right? Because they don't want Frontier to lock everybody out. And they think that Jurassic World Evolution 3 is the game that is most likely to cause problems because people are misusing the tools. All right, picking up the statement from here. These conflicts have drained our collective motivation to keep supporting this game's modding community. We are no longer willing to continue investing our limited free time into supporting modding for JWE3. At the end of the day, we support several modding communities across multiple games. I lost my place. We want to focus our efforts on spaces where our tools are used responsibly and respectfully, and where there's a shared interest in building a healthier modding environment. We know not everyone is part of the problem, and we also know the community doesn't feel the same way about what's happening. We want to be clear, we're not trying to punish players, mod users, or people who have supported us. We know this may affect people who just want to enjoy mods, especially if a future game update breaks things. Unfortunately, if that happens, there's a chance some mods may stop working. Our tools are provided free of charge and open source, but come without warranty. We are free to change or drop support any moment we wish. Anyone can modify the tools while respecting the tool's license if they so wish. So, somebody could pick up the Cobra tools and create a fork and run a JWE3 version, and we could have the modding community continue as it has been. It is possible that somebody picks this up, that somebody has the skill and the interest to do this. I don't know what the likelihood of that is. As I understand, the specific issues that have led to this decision are coming from multiple users of the tools, and includes things like commissioned mods that they feel violate TOS, and porting assets from like other Frontier games into like JWE3, which is explicitly against their terms of service as well. All right, message from Inaki. We have spent more than a decade building these tools and supporting modders as best we could. Over time, however, the lines between our Discord, our tools, and individual mods have been blurred too often. Our Discord exists to support tool usage and mod development. These tools are made and maintained by us, but the mods themselves are not. We do not create, manage, or control what people make with them. We only ask them to follow some basic ethics if you want us to help you in our Discord server. As part of the community became more divided, we were dragged into conflicts around specific mods and modders. In some cases, targeted, insulted, or even mistreated by people who may never have directly engaged with us or our work. This has been especially difficult when some individuals bend the rules, treat our Discord as their own space, or prevent their own conflicts as our responsibility. We enabled modding in JWE, yet these same people have repeatedly accused us of trying to kill it, show a disconnect from reality that can only be explained by the motives and biases of these people, or people misinformed by them. The narrative about this is being caused by a few specific recent events that have been espoused, when in reality this is a more complex situation that's been brewing for more than 3 years now, starting in JWE2. That is not sustainable. We want to keep supporting people who respect basic ethics, understand what the tools are for, and use our Discord in good faith. Continuing to support JW3 under the current circumstance would risk long-term health of our other projects and the support we provide to other games and communities. That is not something we are willing to be a part of, and I decided I won't be involved in JW3 modding research anymore. Message from Hendrix. For a long time, there's been a perceived lack of cooperation between Cobra Tool devs and some modders of JW3. On the one hand, we have observed an astonishing level of entitlement on behalf of some modders towards tools and support we provided in our free time. On the other hand, whenever we asked for help testing new implementations, we were generally met with excuses. Further, when we temporarily asked not to release mods due to known issues or lack of testing, some modders plotted to release them anyway. We have been accused of gatekeeping essential modding skills when we are not willing to handhold people to implement said skills themselves. We have been called selfish, when in fact the tools we provide for free have been used by some to derive money from commissions or download points. I don't even play or mod any of these games, and I'm not in it for the glory, else I'd be working on more popular games. I'm only developing Cobra tools. I almost said that word correctly, because many years ago, Harlequin's ego came to me, asked for help in decoding these formats, and it turned out to be a fun challenge. Since then, my willingness to deal with ungratefulness has been used up by the JWE3 people, so I'm drawing a line. Message from Hex. In contrast to Hendrix, my role in support development and interaction with the community has been primarily tied to my own modding interest. I actually joined the server interested in JW2, modding things nobody has tried or done. I repeatedly broke the disused parts of the tools and actively assisted Hendrix in resolving them one by one. Through a productive modder dev interaction, we improved many parts of the tools together. This announcement would not have happened if the typical JWE interaction followed this template. Soon after, I became a dev and quickly lost interest in JWE, finding my place ultimately in PZ. I have not considered myself part of the JWE dev support in many years. I will always have an interest in expanding the tools where my interest in modding lies, as I am incapable of working in my free time on games I don't want to mod and play. Les Hendrix's German Heart. Unfortunately, my interest in modding JWE ended in 2022, and my limited experience with the community since has only been through myriad dramas. I apologize to the good side of the JWE community, but after the recent round of brigading on Nexus and Reddit, I must prioritize my health and formally disconnect from it entirely. There is sadly a reality where I was not put off years ago from modding JWE, and things such as shader support and documentation would have been in a far more advanced state. I lament what could have been and wish I was not demotivated and demoralized by bad actors more than in all of the 15 years worth of modding communities I have contributed to. So yeah, the JWE modding community is looking pretty toxic from the point of view of the developers of Cobra tools. And finally, message from Harlequins. I've been away from the community for a while due to work-related reasons, and I have not been able to keep up with the community as much as I would like as of late. I do, however, keep tabs with my fellow Cobra devs and have been in the loop on how they have been feeling and what their experience as of late has been with the community. Ultimately, these tools we provide are an open-source gift to the community built upon goodwill, limited free time, and a love for a challenge. When bad actors in the community repeatedly abuse the goodwill and time of my friends and myself, it results in burnout, and truly, there is more important real-life stuff we can be working on. This is a hobby, and when the hobby is no longer fun, it does not make sense to continue working on it. I support my friends on the dev team with their decision to stop support for JWE3 for the moment. They're not obligated to work on it, and if it's causing unneeded stress, more reason to stop at this time. And then finally, we have an ending message here at the end. I gotta get that on screen. There we go. To reiterate, we tried as hard as possible to not be punitive with this long overdue decision. It is simply a reallocation of our limited time to where it is most healthy and beneficial. We wish anyone willing to tackle JWE3 community support the best. Finally, there is nothing left to discuss and nothing about our position to defend, so expect and please respect our communities or our complete silence here on the matter. So yeah, I mean, they're done, right? They're very clear. This is not please behave better. This is like, yeah, you lost your opportunity. So that's really unfortunate. I will, if any new developments happen, if I hear about anybody developing a fork and modding, comes back full force or whatever, I'll report on that, but it's probably not looking good. So I think I'm just going to end this video here with an untargeted statement. Just throwing out there in the ether. I'm not talking about anybody here specifically in this channel's community, but just anybody who might stumble across this video. Think about the consequences of your actions in the community you represent. Yeah. That sort of thing could have maybe headed off this sort of problem, right? If you're using somebody's modding tools and you're being a little bit of a shit, you make the entire community look bad. So in the future, please don't. That is all.